Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Andrew Yang and Boris Johnson. All right, so Boris Johnson has just won the conservative. He has won leadership of the Conservative Party in the United Kingdom, in the UK, in Britain. Okay, this means that very soon he will be the Prime Minister. I think it's a matter of days, a week or two. But he's going to be Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. This is an absolutely massive occurrence, and in the words of Vanilla Ice, Andrew Yang has to stop, collaborate, and listen, because this event is massive. And right now, Andrew Yang is really hustling to get ready for debate number 2. He's really hustling to continue to raise money for his campaign. He's really hustling to convince voters across many states that he is the person to be president, right? And I genuinely believe he needs to stop, right? Take half a day, whether it's the 9 a.m. to noon block, whether it's, the 1 to 5 block with his people, with his team, and everybody needs to get into a room, just get a good solid conference room and talk about how the world changed today. Right? This is a massive, massive change for Britain, for America, and for the world. It has huge, gonging, clanging ramifications for everywhere. This is an event. This is a large stone thrown into the pond, and the ripples are starting. This is massively important. All right, so I want to talk about what do the Boris Johnson changes mean, right? And I'm placing this here for Andrew Yang and his team. They really need to change the way they're approaching the primary, the way they're approaching the general, and the way they're planning to execute their presidency, right? It's really important for Andrew Yang and his team to really stop, collaborate, and listen, and really know exactly what their new plan is, because Boris Johnson is in power today. It is super important. Let's break it down. All right, Boris Johnson. I'm going to explain Boris Johnson to you in 5 words, okay? Britain got its own Trump. Done. That's it. That's the whole ball of wax, right? So Britain, right? Now, Britain is, it is the United Kingdom. What's being united within that kingdom? Wens, okay? Wales, England, North Ireland, and Scotland, all right? And I'm really controlling myself to not do a Scottish accent right now. All right, so it is Wales, England, North Ireland, and Scotland, okay? These are incredibly powerful groupings that form the nation of the United Kingdom, that form Britain, okay? And these are incredibly wealthy nations, and these are incredibly historic nations. Massive amounts of the world's history, huge occurrences all happened on these lands, right? And frankly, America, we were birthed from Britain, right? We broke away and said, we've had enough of being ruled by a king. UK is not there. They still like being ruled by a king or a queen. They really enjoy monarchy. And now they have mixed that with a democracy, right? With a parliament right now. But it's really important to understand that the United Kingdom has a monarchy. It's a big deal. All right. So what does Boris Johnson being elected as the prime, by the way, I'm just going to say Boris Johnson is the prime minister. Understand, right now he's the leader of the Conservative Party, and within days or within a week, he will be prime minister, okay? All right, so what does Boris Johnson, as prime minister of, this is forward-speaking language, what does Boris Johnson as prime minister of the United Kingdom mean? It's huge. It is so, so huge, right? So first and foremost, without, by the way, everything I'm talking about, I care about America deeply. Like that, my entire channel is for the purposes of America. America first, Because I live in America. These are I'm talking about American politics, right? So when I'm talking about international politics, I'm coming at it from the perspective of an American, right? So here's the thing. This is a huge validation this is a huge victory for Donald Trump, okay? And it says a lot, right? Donald Trump is incredibly frustrating. I think just a ton of people are really frustrated to see him continue to win at the levels that he's winning. But it doesn't help anybody to pretend that the situation isn't the way it is. In order to fix problems, we have to accept truths, hard truths, right? And the hard truth is Boris Johnson being elected as Prime Minister of the UK is a complete validation by the British people of Donald Trump, right? It is a victory given to Donald Trump by the British people. It is a gift given to Donald Trump by the British people. It's incredible, right? If you think I'm wrong, I'm going to talk to you about Boris Johnson and Donald Trump. Boris Johnson physically looks like Donald Trump a lot. He's got hair very similar to Donald Trump. His skin is very similar to Donald Trump. His height and weight is incredibly similar to Donald Trump. The clothes he wears are incredibly similar to Donald Trump, right? His aggressive political style is almost a mirror of Donald Trump, okay? And this blew my mind. I'm about to tell you an amazing fact. The Prime Minister of Britain, Boris Johnson, was born in New York City. Born in New York City, where Donald Trump made his bones. All right, like it's incredible how much like Donald Trump Boris Johnson is. Right, he's brash, he has bluster, he has bombast. He is like a clone. He's like a British clone of Donald Trump. Right, so when the British people chose Boris Johnson, no one can pretend they're not saying, hey, we looked across the pond, those Americans got it going on, and we want some of that sweet, sweet American-style political victories, right? Like that Donald Trump is delivering for his nation. It's incredible, right? And, and one of the reasons why I'm saying this is the Democrats are terrible. The Democrats have completely reacted wrongly to Donald Trump. For almost 4 years, the Democrats have painted Trump as a not intelligent buffoon, and they could not be more wrong. At this point, it's absolutely clear. There's no more debate on this subject. Donald Trump is a political mastermind, and he has made America great again. That's a fact, right? Like Boris Johnson, the British looking at what Trump has accomplished and saying, we want some of that, right? The British following America in how it's governing is absolutely stunning, right? So it is my opinion that I agree with John Dickerson. I think that that Donald Trump is a politician the likes of which we may not see for another 50 to 100 years as far as political savvy and political skill. And I think he has very clearly made America great again, exactly like he promised with the MAGA hat, all right? Now, if you know me, I did not vote for Donald Trump. I don't like Donald Trump, and I'm trying to unelect Donald Trump by getting Andrew Yang elected. So why am I saying this? Well, the reality is, again, we have to accept hard truths, and we have to tell the truth and then move forward from it. So, all right, we accept that Donald Trump is a political genius. We accept that Donald Trump has made America great again. Now we pick up the actual the actual banner that the Democrats should be waving, right, in the sight of us, and that is hey, we are succeeding now in America. More people than ever have jobs, and everybody's salaries are going up. And there's so much excess that no one is truly starving. Like everybody's got food and clothing, and at the macro level, the only homelessness that exists is really very much attached to issues that really have nothing to do with homelessness. They're attached to other issues, right? And so what do so when you acknowledge that, right? Where do you go? how do you tell people we need to get this guy out? Well, here's the reality of it, right? The cost of this success is too high, okay? Donald Trump is not ruining America. What he is ruining is two things. We knew this. We knew one of these things a week ago, and there's a new one that we know today, okay? He is ruining the United States presidency, the role of that presidency. Now, it is my strong opinion, right, that he was given a head start by Bill Clinton. I think Bill Clinton did almost irreversible damage to the role of presidents. What is expected of a U.S. president? Mainly character. I really feel like character was for a long time considered absolutely critical. It was critical that the United States president had character, right? And Bill Clinton came along and just tore, picked up character as a piece of paper, tore it into shreds, threw it up in the air as confetti, and the Democrats applauded, right? That's what happened, right? And then Donald Trump went, oh, hey, check it out. You don't need character to run for president? Boom, I'm in. And that's exactly what happened. It was 1-2 punch, right? Bill Clinton was the left, and Donald Trump was the right, and the Democrats and the Republicans are now equally responsible for destroying character as an absolute prerequisite to be U.S. president, okay? So, and that's what we need to say is listen, the U.S. presidency, the role, right? It has to be attached to someone who keeps promises. It has to be attached to someone who cares about people genuinely, not themselves first, right? Who cares about others more than themselves, right? And both the Democrats and the Republicans have abandoned this, right? And now we have to get it back, right? And that's one of the reasons why I'm voting for Andrew Yang. That's the primary reason I'm voting for Andrew Yang. I believe, to me, character really boils down to family values, caring for the person you promised to love the most, and then caring for the children you had or acquired with that person, right? And the main reason I'm voting for Andrew Yang is his disposition toward his family. He is selfless and sacrificial when it comes to his family. That's clear as day to me. I can smell that a mile away. I'm a husband and a father, and I have been for 28 years, right? And I can tell a genuine husband and a father when I see one. And when you're a husband and a father and you're executing well on that job, you are sacrificing and you are putting the needs of others in front of yourself. And I think Bill Clinton absolutely staked like a vampire the idea that character was part of being president. And then Donald Trump jammed that stake further in. It's just that is what Bill Clinton and Donald Trump, that's their real crime, right? Actually, I can't say crime. I don't really think that Donald Trump has really broken any laws, right? Actually, at the macro level, the laws that matter, Donald Trump breaks rules. He doesn't break laws. That's one of the issues. It's and it's one of the fundamental reasons why the Democrats are struggling so very hard to control him, because they truly don't understand him, right? And if you're going to defeat an opponent, you have to understand that opponent. And right now, rather than understanding the opponent, the Democrats have chosen to mock and laugh, and their mockery and their laughter is based on ignorance. They truly don't understand Trump. Okay? The problem with Trump is not that he is destroying America. It is that he is destroying the presidency. And now guess what? With Boris Johnson, it's true that not only is Trump destroying the U.S. presidency, he's destroying leadership, right? It is now, extending internationally to say character is no longer required for leadership. And as a people, as voters in America, right, we have to say this has got to stop. This has got to stop. We are reattaching character as a requirement for leadership. And we're saying that if you're going to lead this nation, you have to have character. If you love someone and you made a promise to them, you darn well better keep that promise. And if you broke that promise to someone you love, no one in this nation should ever think that you're going to keep a promise to anyone else, right? That is logically ridiculous, right? So if you can't keep a character of the person you promised to love the most, right, then no one should ever believe that you're gonna keep a promise to anyone else, right? And then, in addition to that, you have to put others before yourself. And it is incredibly clear to me that neither Bill Clinton, nor Donald Trump, nor Boris Johnson care more for other people than they do themselves. And that is the number one fundamental problem. This is the problem that Donald Trump has genuinely delivered. And every time a Democrat opens their mouth and says Donald Trump is stupid, right? Or Donald Trump is a monster, right? These things are wrong, right? He is a savvy politician that made America great again. We have to own that fact. If people in America see it, and now literally people in other countries, Great Britain, see it, right? And so to deny it makes the Democrats seem incredibly foolish, right? And so the reality is we have to own the victories. We have to own the fact that Donald Trump has had incredible victories, right? And we have to object to him on real principles. And that principle is character must be reattached to leadership. And going forward, we as voters will absolutely reject anyone who has not displayed character in their life. We will reject anyone who cares more for themselves than others, right? All right. Huge lesson from Boris Johnson. They need to write that on a whiteboard at Andrew Yang HQ, okay? All right. What's next? Here's the next one, okay? What do we learn from Boris Johnson? Well, one, here's a huge lesson from Boris Johnson. Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden are finished. They absolutely cannot beat Trump. And because they cannot beat Trump, they absolutely should not be allowed by voters. We should vote against them. We should not allow them to win the primary. Right now, the only thing that we would do by allowing is just not vote for them. Right. So of course my vote's going to go to Andrew Yang. Right. Your vote should go to Andrew Yang. And why is that? Right. Well, one, all right. The American media is a reality. The American media puts the ubiquitous camera on the scene. I watched coverage yesterday for Boris Johnson from the BBC, from Australia, and from America, from CNN, okay? They all showed the same thing. They showed Boris Johnson jumping into a large semi, right? A large semi-truck. They showed Boris Johnson riding a Segway through an office, a long haul through an office. They showed Boris Johnson on a zip line, right? They showed Boris Johnson taking a basketball and making a basket from 25 feet out backwards, right? The role of president, we absolutely cannot pretend that it is not a physical job. It's an incredibly physical job. It has to be a physical job because the ubiquitous camera in America demands it, and that ubiquitous camera is placed there by the American media, and they are not going to remove it. In fact, they're going to make that camera bigger and more wide-ranging, right? And so the idea that you're going to be able to win the presidency and to be able to move the American people and entertain the American people and have the American people watch you while you're standing or you're sitting is ludicrous. It is an archaic idea. The job of presidency is incredibly physical. Andrew Yang is already here. He shot hoops with the Fung brothers. It's a small thing. It seems like a small thing. It's not a small thing, right? Just shooting basketball with the Fung brothers, it's important. Right? Like people right now, like people all over America, they go to the gym, they run, they bicycle, they ride horses, right? Americans demand motion, right? And the idea that you're going to have a 76 or a 77-year-old person routinely, and here's the thing, I think that Joe Biden, he knows this. Joe Biden knows this. You know what he did this week? He challenged Donald Trump to a push-up contest. I will tell you right now, a 76-year-old man challenging a 72-year-old man to a push-up contest is not a good idea. Do I really need to explain why? right? Like, that is a really bad idea. But Joe Biden gets it. He understands this. The presidency is an incredibly physical job. It becomes more physical every single day. And it's a huge fact. Boris Johnson won the British PM position through physicality. He's a brilliant man, without a doubt. He's incredibly intelligent, right? I've heard him speak. He started as a journalist, and he moved into politics, just like his hero Winston Churchill, right? And so those are the bigger lessons. Is we have to. So the huge lessons from Boris Johnson are: one, we have to acknowledge who and what Donald Trump is. We have to acknowledge the threat. The threat is not to our nation. The threat is to the presidency, the U.S. presidency, right? And now the threat has extended to world leadership, right? That's the true threat of Donald Trump, because the reality is he is a brilliant politician. He has made America great again, but the cost is too high. The cost is complete dismantling. The cost is that he's taking the rubble that Bill Clinton made of the presidency, and he's pulling it out of the pile and destroying it further, breaking it up into smaller rocks, right? That's really what's happening. And his dismantling of the United States presidency as a role, right, is now impacting in a harmful way, literally, world leadership. That's lesson number one. Lesson number two, Andrew Yang is 44 years old. He has got to leverage that like crazy, right? He has got to be more physical than he expected to be. He has to use his youth and vibrancy. Get him on a skateboard, right? I want him doing, being out there hiking. I want him on bicycles, with Boris, follow the Boris Johnson line, okay? Everything Yang does from now on should be on a zip line, should be on a Segway. He should be seen driving gigantic tractor trailers constantly, right? It's got to be all physicality. Physicality is incredibly important to winning world leadership positions, and especially the American presidency. These are the two lessons from Boris Johnson. I cannot tell you the importance of Boris Johnson. And if you're not paying attention, here's why Boris Johnson is incredibly important. It's almost a guarantee at this point that Brexit will go through. The only question is how. Okay? It's no longer an if question. It has become a how question, right? And this is the real kicker. This is the real kicker when it comes to Boris Johnson. If Boris Johnson takes the United Kingdom through, right? Takes the United Kingdom through Brexit, and then the United Kingdom clearly benefits from that, the European Union is deeply under threat, because that will massively encourage nations that are already considering leaving, right? That will really encourage them to leave. It's a really big deal. All that is my opinion. I'd love to hear your opinion. What do you think of Boris Johnson being elected as the UK Prime Minister? And then also, please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.